Go to the Pac-12 and a matchup that I'm sure a lot of us were eagerly anticipating before the season started, and here it is. USC, Utah in Salt Lake City. Utah 3.5-point home favorites. This total's been hit already, 59.5 up to 62.5, 63. I can't say I disagree with that, because when you look at things with Utah, all of a sudden we've got to ask ourselves, defense has looked a little leaky, and that's definitely something that is bothering me right now with Utah. I mean, when we look at the games they've played this year, okay, they shut down a bad San Diego State offense. Arizona State only got 13. Oregon State only 16. But the two games against good competition, better offenses, Florida's offense has actually gone down a little bit since Utah played them. They gave up 29. They couldn't get the stops against Florida when they needed to that first game of the year. And then UCLA, DTR is going up and down the field. Charbonnet, Jake Bobo, the entire UCLA offense just up and down against Utah. They couldn't get stops when they needed it. So I'm worried about the trajectory of Kyle Whittingham's defense against what's going to be another very vaunted, very balanced, explosive offense, that they're playing here with USC, led by Caleb Williams, who have scored into the 40s most of their games this year. Last week, they kind of scuffled early, but they got the offense going in the second half. They end up winning and covering against Washington State 30-14, although they did get off to a slow start in that game. Early in the season, I certainly had this spot circled as, Utah's great at home. And the one thing about Utah is they are still great at home. 3-0 straight up, 3-0 against the spread at home. I do not bet against Utah at home, period. And even with my concerns defensively with Utah, I'm still not betting against them at home here. But I'm a little bit more concerned about betting on Utah here because I don't like what I'm seeing out of their defense right now. I'm seeing Cam Rising make mistakes too lately. Some interceptions, the bad fumble that he had in the third quarter against UCLA, which really put some separation between the Bruins and the Utes last Saturday. You just got to have better ball security than that on that fourth down play. He gets hit, ball comes out, scoop and score, fumble return for a touchdown, and that really put Utah in a bad way in that game. You just got to have better ball security from the quarterback. So I don't bet against Utah at home. I can only look at Utah, but I'm a little worried about the defense right now, what I'm seeing. The total's going up. I don't have a big disagreement with that. USC is still a little leaky on defense themselves, but their offense is capable. Utah's defense hasn't played as well. So I understand why the bettors have pushed the total up into the 60s here. What do you think, Conor? It's a big one in the Pac-12, Utah hosting USC.
Yeah, a big one for SC. If they want any chances of winning the Pac-12, playoff, this is a game they have to go in and win, and they have not had success in the past. Not a lot of teams have in Salt Lake. It seems like the perfect bounce back for Utah. That defense, though, has not been great. And you even mentioned the home wins against kind of those teams. They did beat Oregon State, but they're not good on the road. Arizona State, Fresno. And you mentioned Rising. Seems like he's pressing the ball, throwing a little more into coverage. Just doesn't seem like the same guy as last year. SC, looked very good. And I thought it was their defense that second half. And, they scored 13, but it was 17-14. I thought Washington State was right there, and they didn't score another point. They score another there, they cover that game. So that was good by them. So their defense comes and it goes. And obviously it's got all those interceptions. They need it here. They would need some big plays, some interceptions in Salt Lake to get this done. And yeah, it's concerning Utah's defense. I knew UCLA was going to be solid there at home. I just thought they'd be able to move it well and maybe win the game, and they won it big. So tough for me here. The problem is we always talk about I'm the same with you. I'd take Utah at home. But, 3 in the hook now, it's kind of, I don't know. I just don't like what I've seen. But, man, when they're at home, it's a different team. And that place will be really up for SC. So I think it's a game I just don't get involved with. And I'm not going to touch the total. We've seen some of these SC games, the defense come to play. Maybe Utah does. This could stay under, or we get into a shootout and it gets over. So I'm off.
This, to me, feels like a game where for Utah, this is almost like their season, and all the goals and expectations they had before the season are on the line here, essentially. Because when you look at it, they've got to sit. It's really UCLA has got to sit. USC rather, or for Utah, I should say. Utah coming into this game, if they lose this game, this is now going to be their third loss. They're already out of the playoff hopes. They're maybe going to be out of the Pac-12 race if they lose this game. 2 Pac-12 losses already. You might as well say we're in tough now to win the Pac-12. We're in tough to win the division, the conference, get to the Rose Bowl. This is a paramount game for Utah, no question. This is like desperate times right now for this team. And I think when you look at it, they're going to bring that effort, almost like that sense of urgency here. And if they do that, they could win this game because that's a tough place to play. So even with my concerns with Utah's defense lately, I'm not looking to bet against them in this spot. Doesn't mean I'll be on Utah for sure, but I won't be looking to bet against them either.